Yo, what's going on, guys? Jetxc here, and we got some stuff to talk about. The devs actually came out, adjusted Sword Maiden, and apologized. However, we still gotta talk about Sword Maiden. Now, I want to say I don't want people to think that the devs are just these evil beings. We clearly know that they said that units would not be OP, but people weren't expecting them to be next to useless, right? So I there's discrepancies here. There's things that can be improved upon, but this does not mean the devs are just these evil people that are just shitting on the players, right? So let's talk about it, right? Because it's the change is nice, but there's one thing that I think is causing the issue here. Besides the fact of obviously cutscenes, which that's something they have to solve on their own, but we'll get to that at the end. Now, let's talk about it, guys. Here's the apology. Hello, everyone. This is Junhee Lee, PD of Browndust2. I want to sincerely apologize for the confusion between Sword Maiden's combat ability shown in the promotional video and what was described in our update. Let me explain what happened. The battle footage in the PV was recorded early in the collaboration development process. After filming, we made several balance adjustments during our final internal review. We should have updated our video to reflect these changes, but we failed to do so. This oversight wasn't caught during our review process, and we mistakenly released the original footage. This created a significant gap between what players expected after watching the video and what was stated in our official announcement. We take full responsibility for this error and deeply apologize for the confusion it caused. To make things right, we decided to adjust the characters to match the performance we originally intended to deliver. The final adjustments include, it went from 5 tiles, which is the cross, to 3x3, 9 tiles. The damage went from before 3 hits at full potential, 750%, to 5 hits at 600%, right? And if we check everything at +5 with everything included, three turn cooldown, it is 600%. And I guess if you wanted to add in chain, right, for her 5 hits, it's closer to 700%. But then you could add in the chain for the 3 hits, right? So it becomes this thing where chain, with that included, it really doesn't matter. It's 150% damage difference, right? Off top. The issue is the 3 turn cooldown. And the reason why it's so rough is because the rotations they're just difficult, bro. You lose out on a lot when you have a 3 turn cooldown and not a 1 turn cooldown, right? What makes Priestess okay is the fact that you can keep using that 400%. I think it's like 400% damage with vulnerability. It might be something else. She's got the vulnerability. She can use it every turn. Now, to be honest, is anyone using that in general? No, but what's nice is that at least you could do it with Levia, but you can use it every turn, so maybe you could justify that for like a second team or even a third team on like Fiend Hunt or something, right? With Sword Maiden, the 3 turn cooldown is a bit rough. Now, if we take a look at Yomi, I've yet to use Yomi. I haven't found a use for Yomi. Now, granted, I have other characters. I have more characters, so I'm sure people that don't have a lot of win characters, they'll have to use Yomi. At 6 SP, she has a 3 turn cooldown. She attacks 4 times, dealing 170% damage. That's around 680%. So 80% more than Sword Maiden. However, she was a free unit, so okay, cool, free unit. She's at 6 SP, which is unusable, and then 3 SP, or excuse me, 3 turn cooldown, which is even more unusable. And again, when we compare the damage to you can compare it to like Summer Eclipse, you can compare them to Last Hope Lowen, right? But the difference is they're doing like what? Summer Eclipse is doing like 900% of damage. Last Hope Lowen is doing 750. However, they have costumes to supplement their damage, right? So their rotations are going to be looking a bit different. What's going to happen is Sword Maiden it's just going to become useless for the simple fact that you have to wait a whole cooldown in order for you to do your damage again, right? Like I said, what makes what makes Priestess here usable is for the simple fact that I can keep using this every single turn. She's not replacing any other vulnerability character in this game, right? But because you're able to use her shit every single turn, you can put her in like a team 2 or a team 3. You're not going to do as much damage, but at least you have somebody that you can apply that vulnerability every turn. Sword Maiden, I think the best way to make her worthwhile is if you can make that 3-turn cooldown to a 1-turn cooldown. However, I don't think this is going to happen, guys. I think it's too late. Um, I think the miscommunication here is we already know the developers said they didn't want to make characters OP, but we didn't know to what extent that the characters would be useful, right? And people are feeling that none of these units are really useful. Um, especially Sword Maiden, right? I think, unfortunately, it's just going to be what it is, and this is going to have to be like a lesson learned from the devs. And there's going to be two routes to this. It's either number one, fuck it, we make whatever characters we make. If they're OP in a collab, then if you didn't get it, too bad, right? Or option two, you kind of take whatever characters that are in the game and you make their stats like just under them, whether it's like a 50% difference or what, or you have to focus on making costumes like one cooldown, right? A single cooldown time, and then kind of adjust from there, right? Because I think that's the only way, if we're doing these single use costumes, that we're going to find some usage for some people. Now, again, like I said, uh, if let's just say she's got a 1-turn cooldown, that's not going to change anything. She's just going to be mid, right? I think I have every unit in the game. I'm probably, if anything, I use Sword Maiden on like a team 3 in Fiend Hunt or some shit, right? Or I don't know, if I'm feeling weird and I want to use her in Guild Raid. She's going to be mid, right? Just like Priestess, she's pretty mid. But it's possible, at least for newer players, to kind of get a hold and take use of them. And I think that's enough, right? And let me know what you guys think in the comment. And also, again, I think before any of these kit talks happen, if they can't have a collab where they can't make the characters lewd, fuck it, man. Just throw it in the trash. Forget it. I'm a fan of Goblin Slayer. I love the Goblin Slayer series. But I can understand why people are upset in many different ways. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Hopefully that all makes sense. But yeah, I'm out here. All right. Later.